Okay, let's go ahead and get started then. We've looked at a lot of topics in class so far. We started off with just kind of a gentle introduction to philosophy and the kind of topics that philosophy looks at. After looking at the fundamentals of critical thinking, rhetoric, logical argumentation. We've taken a look at Descartes' Meditations. We've taken a look at Plato's Republic. And I was trying to give you all these texts to serve as an opportunity that you might use and strengthen your critical thinking skills. And these are texts that I think are still relevant to us today, at least insofar as we have these questions about what it means to be human and how we're supposed to live. Well, we're starting our final unit today. And to do that, we're going to kind of take a step back and we're going to look at the following question. What are you doing here? What are you doing here at this university, trying to get a college degree? Why are you here? We're going to look at education. These educational institutions are ones that a lot of us go through, and we stay in them for a very long time. For instance, I'm getting my PhD right now. I have been schooling for longer than some of you have been alive. There are obviously problems with the kinds of institutions that we have, the kind of educational system that we have. But it's worth reflecting on your motivations. It's worth reflecting on what education can be for us if we take it seriously and if we approach it from the proper angle. So in this final unit, we're going to kind of take a step back and look at all of these topics, these philosophers, these ideas from, the big picture perspective, the bird's eye view perspective. And we're going to start off with an Indian thinker, writer, speaker, Jiddu Krishnamurti, who served as a guru for many for a number of years, even though he denounced that kind of position. He was an Indian spiritualist, somebody who was doing his utmost to try to get people to change the way they were thinking about the world and what is possible. He's someone who, in his own way, was trying to contribute to people's psychological and spiritual transformations so that they could understand themselves better and so that we could fix a lot of the problems that we have in society. Well, like Plato, he thought that if we were going to do this, if we were going to change some of the problems we have in the system, learn and grow, education would be a key part of that. So, to get the ball rolling, I'd like you all to just talk to the people around you. Try to answer the following question, okay? Reflect on and answer the following question. Why did you decide to come to USF? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I have family down here. I applied for the major course. But like this is better than the other option. Oh no. Connecticut, if I went to USF, I would pay like $4,000. But I just
says 3K a semester? That would be 3K a semester.
I just don't have any motivation in the winter. I don't think I would go to
I think you just. John was gonna go to. The person who I knew said they straight hire like USF. That's
Try to stay here.
Okay. Why did you all decide to come to USF? Does anybody feel like sharing their story? It can be as personal or impersonal as you want to make it. Why are you here? Yeah, Annabelle.
I'm from Connecticut and I wanted to get away from the cold.
You wanted to get away from the cold. Well, you could do that at a lot of universities. Why this one?
The STEM program is really good and financially it was my best option.
Okay. So money played into your decision, right? How many scholarships you were being given, something like this. And the STEM program was good. Okay, so you want to go into STEM. Why STEM?
I don't know, I think it's really interesting.
Do you have a passion for mathematics or something?
Science, but like, it's also just like healthcare program here is really good and they have a lot of opportunities.
Okay, so like financial opportunities, like job opportunities.
Yeah, but also like hands-on experience too.
Okay.
Before I graduate, like their simulations and stuff.
Okay. So we have weather, we'll say like educational program that you like, money played into your decision. How about the rest of you? Why did you come here? Madden?
Because they accepted me.
Because they accepted you? Is that the only reason?
Yeah.
I got accepted. That's why I'm here too. How about other reasons? Why did you come here? Yeah.
Like for me, it was like proximity to home. I didn't want to do out-of-state tuition and all that, so I just commute every day.
Okay. So you wanted to, it sounds like money kind of played a role, but also proximity to your family. You don't want to leave your family behind? Any other reasons? Why'd you come here? Do you just love the Florida weather? Or you are really interested in gators or something? Did you flip a coin? Is that how you made your decision? Yeah? Might as well have been. Yeah? Sometimes in life we make decisions like that. Why are you trying to get a college degree at all? I'm guessing y'all are here for a similar reason. Why get a college degree at all? Isn't it more fun to just hang out at home and watch, Instagram reels and play Fortnite or whatever? Why get a college degree? Yeah.
Money.
Say more. Money.
The need for it.
Okay, you have a need for it. You need money to survive. Can't you make money without a college degree, though?
Yeah, but you can't get a, like, I don't know, it's harder to get a career. So if you want a career in a field that, like, you can choose, a lot of people would go for the degree.
Okay. So something about a college degree is like a necessary step to getting the kind of job that you want so that you can survive, so that you can make ends meet, right? I'm assuming y'all don't want to live with your parents for forever, have to deal with their disappointing looks every morning when you're staying at home yet again, you don't have a job, you're not getting a degree. I think this reasoning motivates a lot of people to try to get a degree. Ultimately, a lot of people view it like this: I need a degree to get a job so I can survive. If you could get a well-paying job without getting a college degree, would you be here? I would not have gone to college if I thought I could have gotten a job that was fulfilling for me. How about the rest of y'all? Yeah?
I just like make your parents happy.
You want to make your parents happy too? Yeah, maybe that also figures into it. Isn't getting a degree a drag? You have to take classes like this that aren't even in your major or your area of study, right? You have to deal with weirdos like me. You're like, I don't even want to be here. I wish I didn't have to wake up this early to take these classes that I don't need. How much money are you paying to be here? I got some great scholarships, but I still had to take out loans. Anybody else take out loans for this? No? That's very surprising. The reason I assigned this essay today is because I wanted to get y'all to reflect on your education, your time at this institution, why you chose this one, what you are hoping to do. Because unless we think about these kinds of questions, won't we just be kind of going through the motions, living our lives according to what our parents want or what society wants us to do? In this essay, Krishnamurti tries to argue that it is imperative that we reflect on our education. And not just our own education, but also how education is handled and carried out in this society in which we live. In Tampa, right? That's where we are right now. He says, surely life is not merely a job, an occupation. Life is something extraordinarily wide and profound. It is a great mystery, a vast realm in which we function as human beings. If we merely prepare ourselves to earn a livelihood, we shall miss the whole point of life. And to understand life is much more important than merely to prepare for examinations and become very proficient in mathematics, physics, or what you will. You are here for a reason. You're taking these classes for a reason. You're not taking these classes for themselves, right? You're doing them for some further goal. I would assume that the vast majority of you here trying to get a degree aren't getting a degree just because you think it's intrinsically fun and worthwhile, but you're doing it in order to reach a further goal, right? So you can check off a certain box, perhaps. So you can have that piece of paper that you can wave in front of potential employers, right? So you can make a living and survive and try to make it, despite how much work it's going to require, how much sweat and tears. If you're here only thinking about getting a degree in relation to the kind of job you might be able to get down the line, Krishnamurti says, you're viewing this whole thing all wrong. You're wasting a grand opportunity. Because life isn't about your job, ultimately. It's a part of it, right? We need to have some job. We need to make a living. But does anybody here wish that their job becomes their whole life? Is that how you want to live? Does that sound fun to you? No, I mean, we work so we can survive, so then we can do this stuff that we actually find fun and fulfilling, right? Most people don't like their jobs. Most people don't want to slave away in an office for someone else for the rest of their lives. Not being able to do what they actually want to do. There's a problem, Krishnamurti says, with the way that we are educating people nowadays. We find ourselves on this strange planet with these strange people, with these strange rules. And we know that we're going to have to make it on our own someday, so we adopt them. We listen to what our parents tell us. We follow the kind of rules and norms of our society so we can go along to get along, so we don't rock the boat, so we don't get into trouble, so we don't ruin our future, right? But Krishnamurti says life is so much more than that. Your life can be so much more than that, and it should be so much more than that. How do we educate people nowadays? Think about your education here. Think about the classes you're taking here. Do you feel like you're becoming wise by taking these classes? Do you feel like you're becoming a better person by taking these classes? Or are these classes preparing you for something else? Future work. That's kind of what our educational system is built on, right? It's giving you the knowledge and skills necessary so you can work in a few years, so you can go into industry. No, on the whole, our education doesn't teach people to be virtuous and wise and compassionate. It doesn't teach us to understand this mystery of life that we've been thrown into. It trains us to be good workers. It conditions us to follow certain rules. We learn to fit into the system that we find ourselves in. But education shouldn't have that as its ultimate goal. It does, but that's unfortunate. Rather, it should help us learn about life, he says, with all its subtleties, with all its wonder, with all its beauty. it's easy to just go through the motions, right? Think about how you live your life every day. You wake up to an alarm, you know you have to shower and eat something. Then you have to, put clothing on that's presentable so you can either go to these classes or go to your job or go to your internship. And you're tired and you got to do all this crap that you probably don't really want to do. You'd rather be doing something else. Following somebody else's orders or listening to somebody speak at you like I am now, right? It's easy to take for granted all of these amazing and beautiful things that we have around us that are shot through with mystery. Unfortunately, Krishnamurti would say, the kind of education that we give people nowadays is distancing us from life. It's distancing us from figuring it out and being awestruck over it and really enjoying it and being fulfilled. He says in this essay that if we don't actually cultivate a proper education, it will lead to death. Not death in the physical sense, but decay. We'll be unhappy. We'll be unfulfilled. Because we're not living our lives the way that we actually want to. Like many people, the kind of education that we have now might just turn us into cogs in the machine of this system that we neither built nor can control. So, when you have some time and when you have some willpower, really reflect on the education that you're receiving, the education that you have received in elementary school, in high school. What has it prepared you to do? What kind of person has it turned you into? We get our word education from the Latin educo, duco meaning to lead, and this a prefix meaning to lead forth. Where have you been led in your education? What kinds of views and beliefs and values do you have now? What kinds of desires do you have now as a result of your education? But first and foremost, is the education that you're receiving actually teaching you to think for yourself? Is it teaching you to live your own life? Is it helping you to become an actual individual with original thoughts and feelings? Acting out in authenticity rather than just following the rules, going along, doing what other people want you to do. Ultimately, Krishnamurti says, if we want to be happy and fulfilled people, we need to use our minds so that we can approach life and we can live it without being possessed by fear. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of failing your college classes? Are you afraid of not getting that good job that you want after you graduate? Are you afraid of disappointing your parents? Are you afraid of other people not liking you? Making them unhappy? Disappointing them? Are you afraid of the economy getting so bad you think you're already screwed and you're not going to be able to be successful? You're not going to be able to achieve the American dream? Unfortunately, fear is very common. And I believe Krishnamurti would say the vast majority of people are often possessed by their fears. Just think about how you live your life. What have you stopped yourself from doing because you are afraid? Think about how you've acted in the past. Was there something you really wanted to do, but at the critical moment, you decided to listen to your fear and you held yourself back? I know I've had many experiences like that. Whether it's confessing to my crush when I was younger, or contributing to a conversation, or speaking back against my father. What has fear prevented you from doing in your life? In his series Dune, Herbert says that fear is the mind killer. If you've ever read this sci-fi series. Many people in this society live in fear. Fear of other people on the road, fear of other people, at night when they're walking down the street, fear that they won't live up to their parents' expectations. Fear that they will never find the person that they can love and settle down with. Fear that they will fail. Fear prevents us from fully living. Prevents. Being safe and comfortable is easy. Going along with what other people want you to do is easy, right? It doesn't rock the boat. Going through the motions is easy. We're surrounded by luxury and convenience, and many of us have gotten comfortable in the way that we live, not taking risks, listening to our fears, just continuing on in the same rut that we've been in. But if you listen to your fears, and if you live safely and comfortably all the time, Krishnamurti might say, you're not living, you're just surviving. He says, to live is to find out for yourself what is true. It's to live without being possessed by fear. It's to become an individual. You can do this only where there is freedom, where there is continuous revolution inwardly within yourself. Truly, the kind of society that we live in, with its rules and its systems, structures, and institutions, it conditions us to live safely. It conditions us to imitate others. It conditions us to conform, right? Not to ask too many questions, not to rebel, not to revolt. But let me ask you, are you going to live a fulfilled life if you're just always following what society tells you to do, how to think, how to live? Are you ultimately going to be happy with yourself if you just make your life conform totally to your parents' wishes and expectations? Hell no, right? You are your own person. You have your own desires, your own goals, your own beliefs about things. And if you ever have any long conversations with your parents, you'll realize this, right? You don't agree on everything. Perhaps you don't agree with what the majority of people out there think about how you should live or what you should do or what should be important to you, right? Ever since we've been born, we have grown up in an environment that's given us the rules and conditioned us to follow those rules. You're following the rules right now. As far as this environment goes, I'm seen as somebody in a position of authority, the teacher, I'm delivering my lecture, and you're sitting in your chairs like nice, good little students, right? Not saying anything, not having any side conversations. It's not always bad to follow the rules, right? A certain amount of order is important. A certain amount of harmony is important. But if you don't actually think about the rules, the way of life, the way of thinking that you've been conditioned into, what are you going to end up doing? Well, let's answer that with a question. Do y'all think there are problems in the kind of society that we live in? Problems maybe with the norms that we have, or the rules, or the laws, or the economic and political policy? What do you think? Are there problems with our society? Go back into your groups. What's wrong with society? What would you change if you had the power to do so? What's wrong with the society we live in now? Go. Okay, what do y'all think? What's wrong with society? What's wrong with our society? What are some problems? Shout them out.
No more public executions.
Okay, you think that's a problem?
Yep.
Okay, what else? What else is a problem? How about how much college costs? Is that a problem? My undergraduate institution was $65,000 a year. How about predatory loans, which a lot of colleges are complicit in, right? Getting these young students like yourself, all starry and rosy-eyed, to take out loans that they're never going to be able to pay back in the next 3 decades of their life. Is that a problem? What else is a problem?
Post-graduation unemployment.
Post-graduation unemployment. Yeah, how about we say something like the job market? Are there problems with that? Yeah. What else?
Like housing costs?
Housing costs. You're thinking of like homes that were going around $150,000 a year. Now they're being sold at $375,000, same neighborhood and everything, and the house is falling apart? Is that a problem? What else is a problem? Or rental prices. The median rental price in Tampa is over $2,000 a month. What else is a problem? Yeah.
Climate change,
Okay. Why is that a problem?
because we're using up our resources.
You might say, yeah, we're using up our resources, we're polluting the environment, we're turning acres and acres, thousands of acres of the Amazon forest into grazing land for cows. Is that a problem? I think that's a problem. I think that's pretty stupid. How about the rest of y'all? What else is a problem? Yeah?
Overvalued foreign policy compared to domestic policy.
Okay. So you might say
Like we're putting too much money into foreign affairs.
prioritization of foreign over domestic affairs,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, maybe you think sending billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine when there are veterans living in our country that are homeless is a problem. Or maybe you think, look, there are a bunch of people here that need help. Maybe we should look out for them first. Maybe. What else is a problem? Is there injustice in our society? Or is everything peachy? Everybody's being treated justly. What do you think? Do you think everyone's being treated justly? Say it.
No.
No, thank you. Injustice? Is there oppression in our society? People are going to say yeah, other people are going to say no. We'll write it down. What else? How about fast food prices? You know, I can't even go to Taco Bell now and get what I want for a reasonable price. It's all way too expensive. Because I'm so cheap, I only order off of the value menu now if I ever get fast food. Isn't that stupid? You might think this is a minor problem, but how about grocery prices? How are y'all's grocery bills doing? Have you been paying more the last few years or less than you did before?
More.
Doesn't that suck? Good. What else is a problem? One more. Could be anything.
Maybe like gas prices.
Gas prices. Maybe you think social media is a big problem, right? Maybe you think it's brainwashing everyone. Maybe you think the government's the problem. Maybe you think there are corrupt politicians everywhere. Maybe you think financialization of the economy is a problem. We could sit here all day and come up with problems, right? I don't think any one of us here thinks everything is 100% great and awesome, right? Krishnamurti's point is that if we just accept the rules, the education we've received, the conditioning, if we don't actually reflect on this stuff like Plato was trying to get us to do with his allegory of the cave, if we just conform and follow the rules, we're just going to end up perpetuating what he calls this rotten social order. You might think people are possessed by vice, ambition, greed, self-interestedness, cruelty. Just go on Instagram, you'll see a bunch of cruelty, right? There's hatred and resentment in our society, right? There's conflict, there's violence, there are wars. People die, people kill each other over rocks in the ground or oil in the ground or pieces of paper that we say have value, right? You and I and everybody else faces certain social pressures and expectations to think a certain way, to live a certain way, to vote for a certain politician, right? If you don't vote for the certain politician, you're a bad person. You might lose friendships or relationships with your family members. Talking politics, right? Destruction of the environment, widespread addiction, mental health problems, dependence on pharmaceutical drugs, debt, prices. Living unreflexively, not thinking about our education, not taking our own education seriously, is just going to lead us to maintaining all of this stuff. And like we said before, Krishnamurti would say, simply following what society wants you to do leads to decay of life. And it leads to decay of what's actually beautiful and important, what's actually valuable. And so he says on page 3, it is only when you are constantly inquiring, constantly observing, constantly learning, that you find truth, God, or love. And you cannot inquire, observe, learn. You cannot be deeply aware if you are afraid, if you merely conform. So the function of education surely is to eradicate, inwardly as well as outwardly, this fear that destroys human thought, human relationship, and human love. He has in mind a conception of education that is different from how we educate young people nowadays. An education which doesn't prioritize getting people to conform, becoming good cogs in the industrialist machine, but one that actually motivates them to reflect, to inquire, to seek out the truth like the philosophers that escaped Plato's cave do. A proper education should help eradicate fear, and it should promote freedom. If we keep doing what we've been doing, things are not going to change, right? I take it that none of you in this room are completely satisfied with your life. I know I'm not. But every moment is a moment at which you can do something. Or you can change something. So what Krishnamurti wants you to see here is that you really should reflect on your education and take it seriously. Not in the sense that, you should just do what your professors tell you to do, because they're like, oh, your grade's suffering a little bit, you might want to study more. No, what he means by this, what he means by becoming educated, cultivating an education, is individual thought and reflection, questioning, doubting. If we can dissolve the fears within us, if we can actually do this, if we can investigate for ourselves, think through things ourselves, ask questions, the potential of a much better life lies on the horizon. But if there are problems in your life, and if there are problems in society, which I think we'd all agree with, failing to engage in this isn't going to solve anything. It's not going to change anything. So like the existentialist philosophers then of the 19th and 20th centuries, Krishnamurti is urging that you should use this time that you're being educated. You should use this space and environment to engage in self-reflection, to figure out what matters to you, to figure out what you think is valuable, to figure out what you love. Because if you don't know that stuff, you can't pursue it. And if you don't pursue that stuff, you might find yourself one day feeling like a hollowed out robot sitting behind your steering wheel in traffic or behind your office desk at work. Proper education is liberatory. And that proper education can only come about by thinking through things for yourself, by actively employing your critical thinking skills, your reflective capacities, your reasoning capacities, and by directing your attention to certain things. Okay, what do you think of this picture of education? Has this helped you see your own time at USF in a different light, perhaps? What do y'all think about all this? Do you hate it? Do you love it? You want some more of it? What do you think? I caught your eye. You caught my eye.
Yeah. I really like it. I think about like being smart and intelligence and what we think about what that is. It defines that as like thinking freely and without fear.
Right, exactly.
I think about like every time I feel smart or I think I'm doing something smart, I'm trying to think freely and without like other things weighing in on me.
Yeah, his conception of intelligence isn't like knowing facts in a book, right? It's more like a disposition. It's thinking freely and without fear. He thinks that if we all did this, the world would be a much better place. Okay, what do the rest of y'all think about all this?
I think how he keeps talking about like inward reflexiveness and like constant, what does he call it? Like rebellion
Yeah,
against
constant inner revolution.
constant inner revolution. It's kind of funny how it reads as like anarchism without saying it.
Yeah, say more about that.
Just things like he basically says we must upturn the world as is because it doesn't allow for education to teach us to be free. But then I think he's also like, and then we got to make sure the world we replace it with isn't just the same thing that we don't rebel against, because the thing that rebels always, becomes the established order, and then it's like never-ending cycle.
Right.
So he's like, we need to just rebel and like reflexively, like reflect on anything we do constantly.
Yeah, what exactly does it mean to embody this kind of constant inner revolution? Put it in different terms. What does this mean? Does it mean you're always fighting the police officers you see on USF campus? Or whenever you see, one of the parking authority guys, you run up and nail them? Revolting against the system?
You always challenge your own views.
Challenge your own views. Challenging your own beliefs, perhaps? What else might it mean? This is good. Definitely right. Yeah. Constant inner revolution. What would that kind of life look like for you? Yeah.
Like, don't take anything at face value, like, question everything that's given to you.
Ah! Okay, so like what?
Like, I don't know, if someone's giving you a certain stance, don't just agree with it and follow along, question why they believe that way, and see if they can back it up.
Ah, okay. This would extend to questioning what your professors tell you, right? How about questioning what your parents tell you? Questioning what the government tells you? Questioning what you see on social media? People are always posting stuff on the internet, right, that are saying all kinds of things, contradictory. What's the truth? What's reality? Well, if you merely just took everything everyone told you at face value, what kind of knowledge would you have? You'd believe all these contradictory propositions, right? What else might this look like? Constant inner revolution. Use those critical thinking skills. A lot of it does have to deal with your beliefs, your views, your values, sure.
I was about to say the values point, like rejecting things like power and greed to drive you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, say more. Yeah.
Like his whole point is that the education system is kind of training us to go after those things, and that we're just checking off the boxes to what we define as successful in the long run. So if you just put your values towards something else, maybe.
Yeah. We're being conditioned to kind of compete in this system, right, against other people, whether that's in business, whether that's for a job, right? Yeah, we'll also add values to the list, because that's a good one. Does anybody here feel like their life is kind of in a rut? Do you do the same thing pretty much every day? Do you have a routine that you follow? Maybe you're not old enough to feel like you're in a rut yet. Living with this sense of constant inner revolution, yes, it involves reflecting on your beliefs, your values, your views. It also means questioning your own actions and habits. How you're living right now. Is this right? Is there a better way to do things? Will you take that in the hall, please? How about questioning your own activities, right? What you're doing out there in the world. How you're relating to people, right? How you speak to other people, the kind of words that you use. We take speech for granted. We take posting things online for granted. Maybe we don't think about it too hard. But words have an incredible impact on people, right? Not only others, but also yourself. What are you telling yourself? What kind of negative or unhelpful self-talk are you engaging in? You know, you drop your pen, oh, I'm such an idiot, right? Or I'm such a loser, or I'm so fat, whatever it is, right? What kinds of things are you saying to yourself? What kinds of words are you using? What kinds of activities are you engaging in that's affecting your mood, your sleep, your happiness, your health, right? You should always be thinking about these things. It's easy to overthink. You don't want to overthink. So you'll want to balance that also with engaging in self-observation. There's kind of a Buddhist or a Taoist element to this, to Krishnamurti's thought, which is, look, we become conditioned to have these views, to say these things, to engage in these behaviors, to have these beliefs, to value certain things. We become attached to the things of life. Maybe you're attached to a celebrity on social media and you have to look at them every day and you have to check their profile every day, or some influencer. Maybe you're attached to other people's views about you. You want everybody to like you. You want everybody to be nice to you, so you're nice to everybody else. Maybe you're attached to your parents' expectations of you. You really want to satisfy those. Maybe you're too attached to your own desires. And you think, if only I could do these things, I would be happy. If I could get these things, or if I could satisfy these desires or goals, that would be it. And so you put your all into that. Well, you're not going to know what kind of person you are unless you actually observe what you think and do. There is this image kind of in Buddhism of, often in meditation, just sitting back and watching the kinds of thoughts and feelings that flow through you, rather than identifying with them and taking them as part of yourself. But embodying a kind of bystander relationship to your own thoughts and feelings. Seeing what comes up, letting them flow. Just kind of watching what happens. Krishnamurti would say we should do this too. If we identify too strongly with these transitory thoughts and feelings that we have, they can bring us down. There is a certain level of detachment that we should try to embody and practice so that we can deal with the situations of life more effectively, more wisely. So what do the rest of y'all think? What's coming up for you? Or what came up for you when you read this piece the other night? What kind of thoughts did you have? Or ideas? Yeah.
That just this sort of philosophy would kind of like lead to like if people used it more widespread, there would be less caves because it's kind of intrinsic to like kind of Plato's metaphor of the cave, like escaping it, like not just locking yourself into the worldview in front of you.
Right.
And that sort of reflectiveness could help us break out from some of the many caves that we find ourselves in.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what this constant inner revolution business is all about, right? He's saying, look, you probably have some false views, some false beliefs. You're probably not doing what you should be doing ultimately. So you should be thinking about that. Yeah. You could equate constant inner revolution with constantly trying to move out of the cave, right? Because as soon as you land on a different view or a different belief, you might worry, okay, I think this is true, but if I don't actually question this too, this is where I'm going to get stuck. Right? I might be missing something. Yeah, great. What else? Do you like his vision of education?
I like that he views education more as like a process to gaining knowledge or trying to seek the truth than like a straightforward curriculum of like how you should like register information.
Right. It is a process, becoming educated. Dissolving yourself of those fears and attachments that are holding you back. You might think we could engage in this process with any number of kinds of curricula, right? We could do it in any number of ways. How would your life change if you saw every conversation with another person or every interaction with another person not as a competition to be won, but an opportunity to learn and grow? How would your life change if instead of just accepting at face value what you're reading on social media, you actually do the research yourself? How would your life change if you stopped caring about what everybody thought about you? If you dissolved those worries and fears? If everybody tried to do this, what do you think life would be like? What do y'all think? Yeah, Angel.
One would say that it would become chaos, but like he does tackle that to where he's like, "Oh, is it perfect now?" It's like, no, it'll be fine if it's a little chaotic, because at least then we live in freedom.
Yeah, what is the first question he considers at the end of this piece, right? The interviewer asks him, won't this lead to chaos and violence and suffering and revolt? And he's like, what does he say? Well, aren't things in chaos right now? He isn't just looking at things, right, politically and economically. You might think there's a lot of order there. But psychologically, people's characters, people's feelings, their spiritual orientation to the world. Yeah. He says there's already chaos and suffering everywhere. But these problems will continue unless we take some new path. And he provides us with one. So, what would our society be like if everybody did this? Let's get a few more ideas, responses here. Walker, what do you think?
I think conversations would be nicer. To have a lot more to talk about.
Conversations would be nicer?
Yeah. Not the surface level. Everyone has a pretty good understanding of a lot of things, so probably learn a lot more too.
Learn a lot more? That sounds like a good thing. Yeah? Okay, what else? Do you think people would be kinder or more compassionate if we all followed this? Yay or nay? Thumbs up for yay. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of thumbs up. Okay, so maybe you think, yeah, people's characters might change positively. What else? would it have any impact on the kinds of problems that we listed? Yay or nay? Would it have any impact? Yay? Nay. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yays. So y'all like this vision of education that much? Do you think there's some promise or potential here? What do you think?
It has issues, but it's pretty good throughout.
Oh yeah, what kind of issues does it have? What do you think?
It's not like I have a list of points here.
Yeah, that's okay. Whatever comes into your head. You know, maybe you might think, like, look, if everybody did this, if everybody's engaged in constant inner revolution, would we really be able to, like, produce the kind of stuff that we do now at the scale that we do now? You know, maybe you would worry everybody would just kind of go off and do your own thing. Maybe the roads wouldn't be kept as well, or, you know, the trash wouldn't get taken to the dump as well, something like this. Maybe you think it'd be really annoying living in a society like this where everybody's constantly just questioning and trying to, you know, move forward like that.
We need a sort of like a connection. Like the inner revolution's good, but we need a way to all be connected as well.
Okay. We need a way to all be connected. Yeah, I mean, what is going to bind us as inhabitants of this society? What can we rally around? What can we all sign on to such that we might be able to solve some of these problems, or at least make our own individual lives better? Well, that's something worth thinking about. And so I'll just leave you with a few takeaways. Unfortunately, the education that we have in the U.S. has some problems. It's not perfect. A proper education, Krishnamurti thinks, would be about discovering what we love and what we're passionate about, thinking through things on our own, this inner revolution, in freedom of thought and speech without fear. That's what a proper education would allow us to do. If you don't think about your own education, why you're here, what you ultimately care about, what you want your life to be like, you might continue to perpetuate these problems, and you might end up living a life that is not fulfilled. So you should think on these things. Truly living, not just surviving, is what we are called to do. So what does it mean to truly live to you? What does your fulfilled life look like? Okay. Get out of here. Go enjoy your Tuesday.